Hi guys. I'm going to talk about how I became dev, from Hippie to dev in 3 months. And well, I'm a very lucky guy because I had the chance to have a supportive family that allowed me to pursue my dreams and discover what I want to do in my life. But I'm not that lucky because I just found what I want to do when I was around 30 years old. I worked for a guy that was a developer since he was 10 years old. So it's a very big gap there. And before I was a developer, I was a journalist, and I was working as a content manager for a big company. I was making money, but I wasn't making happiness. And I decided to save money and change. And I started a journey to change. And of course, this journey is very cliche. And started with me being a hippie. I started traveling with my bicycle, and I traveled around 1,000 kilometers in Brazil. And I was selling my poetry books, and I did some poetry books to sell. And this is when I arrived in Rio de Janeiro, and I was selling, and in Rio that was really special because I found another people who was doing the same as me. And so I thought, okay, great, I found my vocation, and I know what I born to do. But no. I was shooting for everywhere to find what I want. So I tried as well to work with bioconstruction, and this is construction houses with non-aggressive materials. And this technique is very nice. And actually I helped this house to grow. And this becomes this one. You can see very well here, but it's still standing and beautiful. And later then, I was not happy with that. I tried to make giant bubble. Why? Because one friend of mine, she was just as lost as me, and she said to me that she didn't want to work in the traditional way, and she didn't want to study in the traditional way. And I asked her what she wanted to do, and she answered me in one word: bubbles. And here it's very usual to have street artists making giant bubble, but in Brazil it's very unusual. It was very unusual, and we started this trend there. And it was really fun. It's in Rio, and this is São Paulo. I went there, and if you go to São Paulo right now, you are going to find people doing giant bubbles there. And I'm proud to say that it's because of me. Because I started doing that like every week, 4 days a week. And okay, but none of this made me happy. I thought I was really living my romantic dream, but I was still feeling like a half-empty glass. And I was really desperate at that moment because I had already tried being a street artist, a journalist, a giant bubble maker, and other things. And nothing resulted. So I decided to make an app. And long story short, this app never happened because it was a utopic idea. and it wouldn't give me money, and I needed money in that moment because my money was just over. And I started looking for new areas, and I had this idea. And when I wrote the first line of code, it blew my mind. Like, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep anymore. And I just had to finish that line and that other line and that function and to fix this one and to improve that one. And I know that, how many people here are developers? Yeah, yeah. And I know you know that feeling. You know that feeling. You know how it is. And that's one thing that really, that I fall in love with that. But why programming is so special? Programming will give you superpowers. And the thing is, programming is the closest thing we have to magic. You write some special words there, and you have all of the things done for you. Programming also taught me how to think in a logical way. Programming taught me how to break problems into small problems. And programming taught me that if I don't have a solution, I can at least have a strategy to have a solution. And programming, and that's the most important thing, taught me that programming is an infinite and recursive path of problems that we are solving, and when you solve it, you discover another problems. And that make me go in a loop, and I love this loop, because I can't feel unmotivated at all. Every time I feel unmotivated, I just look for a new field of knowledge or a new field in programming, and I find a whole universe of that, and that's amazing. And I don't want to be just innocent here. Money as well. And what's good about money is that programming, you can go from scratch to become a well-paid developer in 1 year. And I don't know any other career you can do that. And that has a power to change the society as well. So that's the thing, that's why I want to spread the word of programming. And the other thing is that in programming we have few barriers to entry. For example, actually I have no idea, but how many people here have a degree in some area related? Okay, it's more or less 60%. But it's not it's not like if you were a doctor or a lawyer, that you have to have a degree to work in this area. For example, I started studying with Code Academy. It's a free website, and actually you can start with that and then go to open source, and in the internet you can find a lot of free stuff to learn. I think it's the most accessible profession nowadays. The problem is learning by yourself is not easy for everyone. So I want to give some tips about for people who are trying to learn programming, especially people who are after 30 years old. Prepare yourself for changes. If you are after 30 years old or something like that, you are going to change a lot, and you don't have time to waste. And that's really different when you are young. When you are young, you can learn and do other stuff. In my case, I had to go to a cave and lost contact with everyone and just studied for 3 months. And that's why. Yeah, that's because I made a really bad mistake as well. I had no money, and in that time it was 2015. I knew my wife, and we started dating, and she was living like 1,000 kilometers from me. So I wasn't living next to my parents, so, well, I'm starting a new life, so I'm going to move. And street art you can do everywhere. No, you can't. I went there, and it was really bad. So I took a loan, and With that loan, I studied for 3 months and just praying that in 3 months I got a job. I got a loan to have it 3 months paid and pray that I would have a job, and I did. Okay. After 2 months, I got a freelance job, and after 4 months, I was hired to work in a software house as a junior Angular developer. And that's the other tip I can give is that you have to find a job as soon as possible. And not just because of the money. The money was not good at that time, but because in this way you can ask questions. And you will work with real problems and with real architectures. And when I entered there, I thought I knew something I didn't know, and I didn't know anything. So find a job and ask questions, and there is no silly questions. And the other things, buy coffees. But I don't mean buy coffees by yourself or to yourself. Buy coffees to other people, because you had to know one way to enter in this industry, and you have relationship, you have contacts. Is a better way. So invite people to coffees. Don't ask for a job. Just let them know that you want a job. Make people know your interests, and from that coffee, get another contact, other contacts to other people to invite to coffees. The point here is make connections. If you can't afford coffees, go to meetups. The food is free there. And meetups, Facebook, whatever. And the other, this is really important, show something. If you don't have a degree in this area, you have to solve something, you don't have experience. So GitHub, create a repository, make a website, your personal website, publish the code, make it public. And if you do that, amazing. If you make it modular, documented, and if you publish it using NPM, just take my money and you're hard. And always do things in English. And this is, I think, is the worst part. My English is not very good. And I think I can talk about Brazilian people in a majority cases, not that good as well. But this is important. And Portuguese people know how important it is to make part of the international market. Keep yourself up to date. After I was in that job, in 6 months, I got another job as a mid-level Angular developer to rewrite an web app. And we decided to make it with React. And no one knew React in that time, but we accepted that challenge. And that's why I'm here and work in Portugal. And I don't think I'm a case of success, entirely success, but I think I made good progress. And well, take advantage of being different. If you have another background, you probably will have. I'm finishing. We will have learning stuff that are very different from yours, and you can teach stuff from people. And you can, if you are 30 or more, you can take responsibility that one thing that people that are more younger that don't do so well. And your past is very important. Your past is who you are now. Well, but programming will damage you too, because especially if you learn in a quick way, because you will have to you have to go to a cave And for example, I stopped writing poetry, I stopped with cyclotourism, I put weight, I lost hair. But it changed my way of thinking because I couldn't exercise my creativity in that time. But this is going to pass as well, because at the end, when you can take your you from the past and you concatenate with your you from the present, that's when you make the difference. Thank you.